All right, I am now beginning the live stream. That takes about 30 seconds here for it to upload. So by the time I finish with that,
We have to be.
there we go. It's 11 o'clock. So you're all set.
Okay. Thanks, Carol. Thanks, everybody, for attending. And I see that we are all here, which also means we have a quorum. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. And first thing on the agenda is approving the minutes from our December 8th, 2020 meetings. Did everybody receive a copy?
Yes.
Yes.
Does anybody have any corrections?
No.
Okay, in that case, I do.
I wasn't even there.
Sorry, Lucy.
I shouldn't say anything because I wasn't even there.
Oh, well, that's okay. We could have spelled your name wrong or something. In the last full, paragraph on the second page, it talks about Shirley and Michelle reviewing the applicants for the director position. In the last sentence, it says an initial interview process will be scheduled in January. Do you see that sentence, Lucy?
Yes.
Okay. It says will be scheduled in January where members Hardison and Stecker will. And I'd like to delete everything after will and just insert meet with candidates.
Okay.
Because I just, we don't know how many they're going to come up with. And it's just a little bit more open.
Sure. Got it.
That's all I had. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes as, yes, Shirley. Oh, you're making a motion to accept the minutes.
Yeah, I move to accept the minutes as corrected.
Okay, and can I have a second?
Second.
Is Michelle.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Jeff, yes?
Aye. In favor.
Shirley,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Lucy?
I have to. I don't know if I can.
You can accept them because
Okay.
you're only accepting them for filing.
Oh, okay. Yep.
All right, then that's unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to the treasurer's report and review of the draft budget for 2022.
Okay.
Michelle, is there anything you wanted to say about as treasurer?
I think I sent the balances in the accounts to Lucy yesterday. I can read them off just so we have that on record. The checking account balance is $44,586.52. And the CD balance is $20,810.96. And I would like to request that the balances only be read at the quarterly meetings, not at any other interim meetings or other meetings we might schedule, unless there's something that's gone on. Is that okay?
That's fine with me. I mean, the purpose of this meeting is more the 2022 budget.
Right.
Not really expecting a treasurer's report as such.
Okay. All right. Sarah, did you want to present the budget?
Well, everyone should have a copy of it, and it's pretty basic with the operating summary which I completed, and the other half, the pension, medical, dental, payroll taxes, life insurance, will be completed by Tony to share at the town.
I'll just interject. I talked to Tony today. He said he had those numbers ready by Friday for us. And I talked to him about how we were not willing to approve the final budget, or we couldn't today because we didn't have those numbers. And so that we would approve it and submit the budget to him at our February meeting. And he said that would be fine.
Okay, so our annual meeting, February 12th, I think it is, which is,
I think it's the 7th. It's the 12th.
is it the 7th? Okay, yeah.
No, it's the 9th.
Somewhere in between. Okay, we will approve hopefully the 2022 budget, but okay, as long as that sits well with him.
Yes. Sarah, I had a question about the budget. In your narrative, you say that the budget is based upon a 2% increase in salaries, yet in the budget itself, it's at 3%.
Well, I can go through my figures again.
Are you saying, Michelle, that you multiply 147,666 salary by 3% and get 150?
No, I'm saying that in the narrative, I didn't do the math, but Sarah said in her narrative that it was based on 2% increase,
Yep.
right, Sarah?
Yes.
That on the budget, you have a 3% increase.
For which department expenses?
No, salaries.
No, the salary is based on a 2%.
Yeah, I think I did the math and it was 2%. I think I
Well,
can do it right now.
I initially did 3% and sent that out to everybody. After I spoke with Tony, he suggested 2%. So that's what's on what should be in front of you.
okay.
Where are you seeing the 3%, the actual 3% stated, Michelle?
Well, I'm just looking at the budget. I may be looking at the first version that I received. It says fiscal year, the one that's highlighted in blue and orange. Is that the one we're looking at?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have.
No, there's no highlights.
Well, the budget I have has two columns for fiscal year 2022. One of the columns is 2% increase, and the other column is 3% increase.
Okay, let's all look at our budgets.
Yeah, I have the budget in front of me and I don't see that at all.
I don't either. This is Sarah sent out a revised budget, very close to when she sent out the original budget, right, Sarah? It was either hours or a day later or something. It was really close, right?
Yes, I think
Pretty
so.
much.
The first number I have under fiscal year 2019 is 134,242. And reading across is 137,958, 147,666. And then under 2020, 150,619, 150,619 for the 2022 salary. Is that what everybody
Yeah,
has?
Okay, yeah, I got that right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So we're all looking at the same page, which is very good to establish. Okay. Michelle, are you satisfied with Sarah's answer? Did you get an answer to your question?
Yeah, no, I was looking at the wrong one. And then in the budget that we're sending to the town, it doesn't break out all the detail, but I did talk with Sarah. And could you just address the education aspect that we talked about?
Yeah, and the more line item budget I did put in, obviously there's always been a line for travel, and then I put in 1,200 for continuing education.
Well,
And
I
that's
just thought, yeah, we can just talk about that's new, and it's to really make sure everyone stays fresh and interested in their jobs and going forward and learning new things. And I thought you said you may have identified some programs.
Well,
Can I-
there's plenty virtual.
Can I clarify what line are we talking about? Line 7,100 department expenses that's not broken out?
Well, yeah, it's not broken out, but it's just it's new part of the budget. So it's not that it's broken out in the budget that we're looking at, but it's part of the overall budget, and it's a new expense that is included in overall department expenses. And I just thought we should make note of that.
Is it, I'm a little confused too. Are you talking about the 15,990?
No, I'm talking not so much about a line item that we have that we're looking at, but what's part of the expense, department expense, is just a new item that's part of it. That we don't need to look at all the details. That's not going to the town. The town's not looking at that expense specifically either, but it's just something that we've added to the budget, a total of $2,200. And it's
Right.
not a line item, just thought,
But it's got to go into a line item.
yeah, it's a department expense. It's in the,
Okay.
yeah, I just wanted to make y'all aware of that.
Okay. So what you're saying is that included in the department expense line item are new.
Just a new expense to, support the staff and the director.
Okay.
Do you think that in the future that should be broken out for us to see? Would that be an idea? I mean, I would like this for this $15,990 broken out. I have no explanation except in the narrative.
Yeah, there is a detailed line item budget that doesn't really translate to the format that goes to the town, but it translates in that the department expense is, you know, summed up as just one line item for the town, but there is a detailed line item.
Yeah, I'd like to see the detail too, because it would be interesting to see for me, if I'm looking at a budget, how this breaks down and, you know, were the funds used, were the funds not used?
Yeah, I
No.
have that. I don't know that you didn't send that out, Sarah, to everybody? No.
I don't need it right now, but I think in the future or with this budget, I would be interested in seeing that, you know, because you can see where the trends are
I
going.
have it, so I don't know.
Yeah. And whether or not it goes to the town, I think it behooves us to know, even if it's not what the town wants, or I think that we need to see it to understand it.
Yeah, I agree.
While we're on that line, could I ask a question about 2021, fiscal year 2021, that 14,500? So that jumped $10,000 from 2020. And that was approved. So we requested $14,500 for department expenses, a $10,000 increase from 2020 to 2021, and that was approved. We got that.
I think how the budget was created, it shifted over with the town that year. So I don't know where those initial numbers came from,
Well,
but it wasn't a $10,000 increase for what was asked from the town.
it was not a $10,000 increase.
I don't believe so.
Where,
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand. Again, this $15,000. If we look at 2021, the 14,500.
yeah. So
That
it goes up by 1,400.
sure, but it went up by $10,000 from
Oh, the year
2020.
before.
And I'm just wondering, the town approved that. Then we got that money.
Yes, it was, I don't know what that was, but most likely it was just a reorientation of some of the accounts. And there was a problem last year in submitting the budget and that it didn't balance. And Tony made an adjustment to it, which I never saw the final adjusted budget, but some of the numbers that were put in last year were incorrect and had to be adjusted.
Okay. All right. I'm ready to move on then, if we can go through whatever anybody else had questions about.
I have a question. I thought, and I could be completely wrong because it's memory based, but I thought salaries, and I also came on when the budget was being submitted, so I didn't have a history of anything, but I thought salaries increased by 3% last year.
It did.
So why now 2%?
I think Sarah just said Tony recommended that we don't do 3%, we do 2% this year. Tony said 2%.
But my question is why?
Did he tell you why, Sarah?
He said 1 might be too low, 3 might be too high, go for 2. I mean, I can readjust it based on what the board would like.
You need to keep in mind that you are separate from the town. He may be considering a 2% across the board for other town departments, but you are your own entity. And you submit to the financial town meeting one total sum that you ask the town to appropriate to help fund the free public library. So what you do with those funds is up to you as a board. So if your decision is you want to have a 2% raise, then fine, use 2%. If your decision is that you want to do a 3% raise, then use 3%. It's entirely up to you. Now, I'm sure he was saying that His intent right now is 2% across the board for those that he's going to have to negotiate with for raises. But you're your own entity. You can make up your own mind and do what you want to do.
Mhm.
I thought when we first talked about this, we just thought we'd be consistent with last year and do 3%.
I mean,
I thought we were doing 3%, and Tony made a couple of other suggestions or in terms of insurance, and we changed the insurance amount despite his comments because I just looked at historical changes, and so we increased the insurance amount. On the insurance amount, I don't want to go into too much detail, but that's what was wrong last year is the insurance amount numbers.
right.
So we weren't going to increase it for 2022, but we did because last year's was wrong. So I would recommend that we do 3% across the board for salaries.
I do too.
Can I ask, we went back one year, I mean, it was 3%. What about the year before? Has it historically been 3% or has it been 2, jumped up to 3? Do we know?
It's historically been 3.
Yeah, that's what my impression is too. Historically, it's been 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll make that change. We need to make a motion on that.
That's what I was just going to ask if we need approval and see what other people think.
Frankly, I think at this point, you're looking through the entire budget. You're
Yeah.
making suggestions of what you'd like to do. And then before you decide that this is the final budget that you would like to present to the town, then you'd take a vote. But right now, you're kind of in workshop mode.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we go around and see what people think? I know Michelle approves. I do. Jeff,
Repeat that again, Lucy?
how do you feel about having salaries increased by 3% versus 2%?
I agree with the 3%.
Shirley,
I agree with 3%.
Nancy,
Give me 1 second.
sure.
Yes, fine. Yep. We'll find them. We'll find it, I guess.
Yeah, I think that the staff is such an important part, and to not continue at least at the same percentage would be a disservice.
I agree, especially it's been such a tough year.
Mhm.
Staff, and they've really rose to the challenge. And, I just think, it's so important. It's important to the community, and we've always done that. And I don't think there's any reason to change it at this point.
I agree.
Okay, so we'll amend that number to make it 3% increase
Mhm.
for salaries. Okay. Any other questions?
I think that's the only change that we're making to the current budget, but we can approve that change, but we can't approve the budget because we don't have the numbers as we've discussed for the pension, medical, and dental. And I talked to Tony and said that we're really not comfortable approving the budget if we don't have those numbers. And he said, well, but the board doesn't have anything to do with the input. I said, no, but last year we had questions about them. And I went and talked to Bob Munchin about the pension change and got the answers. So he agreed that, yeah, therefore he allows us to look at the final budget in February because we really can't approve it without knowing what those numbers are.
Okay, and you said that he'd be giving you those numbers on Friday, you think?
I think, yeah, he said he's going to try and it should happen.
Okay,
We'll have it. We'll definitely have it before our meeting.
okay,
I'll keep on him. I'll keep on and make sure we get those numbers.
okay, thanks, Michelle. And thanks, Sarah.
I have a question about the state grant, Sarah. This
Yes.
$36,558. Is that a sure thing? Where does that come from?
Well, it comes from the governor's budget. We won't have those final numbers. I increased it from last year by, I believe, projected increase of 2%. But no, they won't have those numbers until late in the spring, if then.
So last year we got 35,772, and the year before that we got 35,772 from the state grants.
No. The number for last year didn't come out until after the budget was put through. So the must have just been carried over across. But last year, the actual amount was 36,164.
164. Okay. So, so that you just made the same percentage increase for 2022.
Yes.
Perfect.
And I'd like to say that going forward, when we do monthly or quarterly reports for the board about the budget, we do want to look at budget versus actual.
Absolutely.
So we can see that going forward. And then I just wanted to let y'all know how this state grant is spent, because Sarah was explaining it to me, that the town has a separate account, a special account that is the state grant. And we have to spend every nickel of that by the end of the year, so that Sarah, the acting director, will indicate to the town, this has, when she has a bill, this must be paid out of the state grant, especially towards the end of the year. If we haven't spent it all, we have to make sure we spend it all. And so Sarah will earmark certain bills to be paid by the state grant.
Are there any restrictions on how we use that money?
I don't know.
Generally not. I mean, usually you don't pay payroll out of it, but they would make an exception if you came to that point where you needed to use it for that.
Okay, that was what I was thinking. Okay, perfect.
And then the contribution of the Friends does not go in this budget.
The what? Oh, the Friends, right.
That's
Right.
separate.
It's strictly what we're asking the town for.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so I think in the future, what I would love to see is, because one thing, and this is for the future, not now. This second page that breaks out the salary, Sarah and Michelle, I would like to see that on one page. In other words, right under the salary. So right under line 7,000, break out the director's salary.
Well, the
And
problem with that is that the town wants to see it in this format. Is that correct, Sarah?
Yes, this is the only format they want.
Okay, all right. Then,
Just for input, there's no reason why you can't have your own format in-house.
right.
And just supply Tony with what he's looking for.
Yeah.
Most of the departments have that. They have their own separate way of looking at things. But then when Tony asks for his numbers, we just fill in his form the way he wants to see it and send it off to him.
Yeah, and we do have I think it's in Excel. We do have a more detailed spreadsheet that we can use next time.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good idea, to have our own in-house, because as Nancy was saying before, which I think is a great idea, is to see, the actual numbers versus the budget numbers.
And I don't even understand, looking at this, what if these columns are what are actual or what was requested. So the first column, fiscal year 2019, is that actual or is that what was requested? And
It's all requested. There's no actual.
Right, but the actual to me would be, as I would define it, would be what we got versus what we used.
Exactly.
So
These numbers are what we got.
yeah, and so I would like to see that going forward for an in-house budget. So we know the numbers in 2021, but what were the actual?
Yeah, and what happened last year, I don't know if y'all aren't interested in all this detail, but in the line item breakout that we used, there were expenses in there that were actually funded by the Friends. So the Friends contribution did have to go on the line item for our own internal budget, so that it would balance out. And because we couldn't break out, for instance, periodicals, how much we spent that was funded by Friends and how much we spent that was funded by town. That's not really broken out, but if we put the Friends contribution in our form, then it'll all balance better, or it'll all balance.
Right, and then we could break out department expenses.
Yes.
And then we'd know if insurance was really 3,500 or it was 3,300.
Yes.
Okay. That would be great.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the work you've put into it. And maybe for next year, we could do it just a little bit more detailed. Breakout. Great. Does anybody else have any other questions?
No, but I do think that what I would like to see just internally is that if you guys could put together an internal budget for us so that I can see the breakdown of expenses.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. And we have that. And then I'd like to see that. And then, if we can look at it quarterly, breakdown of expenses, where we are versus budget.
Right, yes, exactly.
And Sarah, I think you told me, even though we don't have that sheet right now, that we've spent about 48% of the total budget. Is that right? Something like that?
From the town.
Yeah, from the town.
Can you just clarify what you just said? We've spent 48% what?
Of what we were allocated last year for this year. We've only spent 48% so far. We have another 6 months to go. Or 5. Yes, 6 months. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I think that when you adjust this salary number to be 3% rather than 2%, the 150, 619 number, right?
Mhm.
You're going to adjust that number and then give this to Tony.
Well, no, we're not going to give it to Tony until we look at it at the final meeting, at the annual meeting.
We have to approve it before we give it to Tony. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Yes.
the whole budget.
Okay, so you'll adjust that number. We'll get the numbers from Tony for pension, medical, dental, all these 1.00 numbers.
Mhm.
And then we will hopefully approve this budget at our annual meeting in February, early February, and then give it to Tony, the
Yeah.
town. Okay,
So do we have to move for the salary increase? Make a motion.
Carol had just said that we put together the budget, then we approve the budget.
Okay, so, yes, we'll do that. But we don't have to make a motion. We'll approve the whole budget at the next meeting.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, since you're all new to this, the process you go through with Tony, and let me put my video on here so you don't see a blank screen, is him working through the budget. The legal process for getting something on the warrant so it's heard at financial town meeting requires you to write a letter to me as town clerk to submit something to be put on the warrant. So Sarah, you probably have something in the computer that is what has been used in the past. But once the budget is actually voted, then Sarah will create that letter, and it basically says, please include the following in your financial town meeting warrant. And it says to see if the town will appropriate the sum of and whatever your total number is. And then that is usually signed by the chairperson.
Right, I remember that.
And that needs to be done before March 1st. So
Right.
when you cast your vote in February, if that's the budget you're going to stick with, then that letter needs to be created and Nancy would need to sign it and it gets submitted to me.
Do you think it'd be helpful, Sarah, if, I don't know, Carol, if you could send a copy of last year's letter to Sarah, maybe?
I can. She's probably got it in the computer, but I can send it to her.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah.
thank you so much. That's good to know. We'll take care of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Terrific. On our way. Moving ahead to an update on the search for a new director. Michelle and Shirley, thank you for everything you're doing. What can you tell us?
Michelle, do you want to do that or you want me to?
I want you to, Shirley.
Okay.
You did the final.
Okay. We've sent out invitations to the remaining candidates to set up initial interviews. And I've as of this morning, we've heard back from 3 of them that they're confirming the time that we gave them for their interview. We're going to start those interviews on Saturday. And then the initial just screening sort of interview. And then we will, at this point, there'll be a couple of them next Thursday. And then we'll report back to the board on that.
How many letters did you send out to invite?
There were emails and there were 6
Okay, 6. Okay. And you heard back from 3 so far?
as of this morning.
Yeah, and she sent them out yesterday, so that it's really positive. They had quick responses. I'm really pleased about that.
And is there a date to which they need to respond back to you so you're not?
I gave them a time for their interview.
Oh, I see.
so-
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right. I was writing something down. Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yeah, and Shirley's already said one person didn't have an email, and that person was a questionable candidate. But Shirley's, really been good. She's going to follow up with a phone call, and then she and I will talk. If we don't make contact, we'll discuss what we're going to do.
Okay,
Sounds good.
great, thanks. That's great progress and good to know. So we'll keep moving forward and touch base again soon. Anybody have any questions of Michelle or Shirley?
I just want to say thank you for doing.
Oh, it's not over.
Doing, not have
Yeah,
done.
so far so good.
Okay.
It's been a little, for me, it's been a little surprising at the organization of all, 3 different rounds of interviews, what the objective is for each and all that. But
Yeah,
I think
well-
we really, I think the plan is good, and I think I'm excited about meeting these people, and things should move more swiftly after we do these first interviews.
Great. Okay, we're going to move forward. Back to you, Sarah. Anything you want to report on from the library and how it's going over there?
Sure. Well, considering we're still much in the thick of this pandemic, we've held very strong. We are open full hours, which is not across the board common with libraries in Rhode Island. And we offer all the services we have in the past. We don't have as many patrons in the building, which is okay. It's safe. Or people can come in and they can browse, limited. Our circulation is strong. We have a lot of patrons order materials through the online catalog or directly through us. Some prefer to browse. We've increased our online presence with many reading and activity challenges, online information and links to travel, education, activities, as well as story times, crafts, songs for the kids. We're going to be offering online educational videos using the eZone photography. We're looking at, harnessing local talent. And through the Ticket Outside initiative in OSL, we promoted our Wi-Fi parking lot.
Oh yeah, cool.
The Friends Tea Towel fundraiser was successful, and our recipe swap in lieu of the cookbook club, since we obviously can't meet, was enjoyable. We're going to be looking to resume the book club via Zoom as well. We're conforming to all the guidelines for safety, the protocol for the COVID safety laid out by OSL, OLIS, and the Department of Health. We've worked tirelessly to promote patron satisfaction with our services while being understaffed for months. We have the gracious help of 2 volunteers. They've been with us through the course of this. We're not looking for any more because they have been in the same pod. We're in a good position. We worked very hard to maintain consistency, safety, and stability for patrons and the staff and the community at large.
Great. Thank you for all you're doing.
Yeah, I was gonna have to say is that it's so impressive and wonderful when I get the library emails and all the recommendations of books and all the new and different things you're doing and how you're approaching it online is very appealing. And and Hillary even instant messengered me and said she found a book that my mom might like. And she said she'd be happy to drop it off. And I said, that's so great. I'll come up. Well, I went up yesterday. And it was obviously closed. But she texted me again and said, I'll drop it off and I found some that you might like. And to me, that was just, who does that? What library would do that? What person in a library would do that except for people in the little Compton library? And it's really wonderful because I'm don't know what to use the word stuck, but I am in a lot of ways because I'm taking care of my mom. So it's one less place I have to go into, although I love going into the library and I really miss it. So I just want to say you guys are doing such an amazing job. And
Nice story, Lucy. Yeah, I love the emails, the themed books, the themed, how you group them. And I don't know where you come up with all those books and ideas, but it's really fun to scroll through them, and on solitude or whatever the last one was. It's all, they're great, really good. Anybody have any questions for Sarah about, how about the leak, Sarah? Is that all patched up and doing fine?
I don't know. It still goes through the trust. We have a roofer who's dealing with Roger Wardell. And once everything is completed, then we can look into patching and painting on the inside.
Okay. Okay. But there's no water coming through.
No.
Yeah. Any other questions for Sarah? Yeah.
I have a quick question, and tell me if I misheard or misunderstood, but I thought I heard you say that you guys are understaffed, and still doing all of this all these amazing things, and you have 2 volunteers, but you don't need more volunteer help.
We don't want more volunteers in because it puts people at risk.
Okay. Okay. Absolutely, I agree. Yep. I mean, not that you care, but I do agree.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Well, then I'm going to say we've covered our agenda and in a nice short amount of time for this extra meeting. And thank you all for postponing, and Carol for all the extra work you did to post this postponed meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I am motion to adjourn, and Carol, thank you for everything that you've done for me. I told Nancy I'm going to be fired soon.
And I said no.
You're
Sorry.
fine. You're fine.
Can I get a second of the motion to adjourn? Shirley
A
seconding.
second.
And can I have a vote on adjourning? Michelle, Shirley. Michelle, how about you?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Jeff?
Yes, okay.
Lucy, yes, and I vote yes. Also, this meeting is adjourned. We'll see you at the annual meeting in February. The date is not in front of me. I